All right, guys, so this is the video for 10.7. And in this section, we're going to talk all about equations of circles. So generally speaking, this might be something you would see on like an ACT question or an SAT question. So try to remember this. This is important even after you move from geometry. We are going to use completing the square in here. So hopefully you remember how to do that. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the standard of equation of a circle is written in this form right here. Okay, x minus h squared, y minus plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where r is the radius, and then hk is the center of the circle. All right, let's look at example 1. Now, just to refresh, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared is the equation we're looking for, okay? And the center of the circle is hk. This is our center. And r is our radius. Okay, so if we have our center and our radius, we can find the equation of the circle. All right, so it says write the standard equation of the circle shown at the left. So we want to identify two things. We want to identify the center and the radius. Well, clearly the center is the origin. So center is at 0, 0. And the radius is 1, 2, 3. So the equation of the circle is x minus our h is our x value of the center, which is 0, so x minus 0 squared plus y minus, well, our k is the y value of our center, 0 squared equals our radius squared, 3 squared. Okay, so if we simplify this, guys, x minus 0 squared is just x squared, y minus 0 squared is just y squared, equals, you can either put 3 squared or 9, whichever one. So this would be the standard equation of this circle. Okay, now let's do another one. Here the center is 0, negative 9, and our radius is 4.2. So x minus, now the number that goes here is our x value of our center. Okay, so 0 squared plus y minus the number that goes here is the y value of our center. So minus negative 9 squared equals, and the number that goes here is right here. So 4.2 squared. Well, guys, let's clean this up a little bit. X minus 2 squared is just x squared plus y minus a negative 9 is y plus 9 squared equals, and you could either keep this as 4.2 squared, or you could actually square it, which is 14.64. We are not going to undo this. What I mean by that is we're not going to FOIL this out because we wouldn't be able to identify the center and the radius if we did that. So this would be my final answer. All right, I want you to go ahead and try to do these two on your own, and then we'll go over it. All right, so this is what you should have gotten. Now over here with our centers at 0, 0, that makes these easy. And then of course our radius squared. So when you simplify, you just get x squared plus y squared equals 6.25, or you could put equals 2.5 squared. Either way is fine with me. All right, now on B here, our x value of our center goes with the x. Our y value of the center goes with our y. And then our radius is out here. So a minus a negative 2 is x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 49. And you would just keep it like this. Do not FOIL this and this out. It'll look disastrous. All right, let's look at example 3. I'm just going to write the equation of a circle up top. Okay, now in order to write the equation of the circle, you need two things. You need to have the center and you need to have the radius. And if you have those two things, it's just plugging stuff into a formula and you're done. Okay, well here it says the point -5, 6 is on a circle with the center at -1, 3. Write the standard equation of a circle. Okay, well, the center is given to us, and we know that the center is -1, 3. Okay, now our radius, 5, -6. We know if this is the center here. Well, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it looks like this is 5, but what if it's like 5.006 or something like that? So we want to confirm for sure that 5 is the radius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the distance between these 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to do the distance formula. Okay, so -5 minus a -1 is a -5 plus 1 squared plus 6 minus 3 squared equals square root of -5 plus 1 is a -4 squared plus 6 minus 3 is just 3 squared. Well, -4 squared, guys, is 16 plus 3 squared is 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. Square root of 25 equals 5. So our radius is, in fact, 5. Okay, now to write it in standard form, we have x minus a -1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals our radius squared. And if I clean this up, minus a -1 would just be x plus 1 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 5 squared, or 25. There's our final answer. All right, so let's look at example 4a. In this example, I have this long, crazy looking equation that doesn't help us one bit, at least not yet. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take this crazy equation and I want to put it in the standard form of a circle. That way I can pull out the center of the radius and therefore I can graph it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of separate these and I'm going to group the x's and y's together. Now to me, and you can kind of find it whatever works for you, parentheses help me. So I'm just going to say x squared minus 8x, and I'm going to put that in parentheses, plus, and I like to mark them off so I know I use them, and then I also know I don't use them twice, plus 4y. This minus 16 doesn't have a variable, so I'm going to keep it by itself, equals to 0. Okay, so what I highlighted here in yellow and what's written here, it's the same thing, just written a little differently. Now, some of you are thinking, well, those parentheses don't really do anything. No, they don't, but what they do is it helps my brain and my eyes know that I'm grouping the x's and I'm grouping my y's, so they're together, but they're also separate. All right, so now I'm going to rewrite this. Okay, so I'm going to say x squared minus 8x, and I'm going to leave a space, plus y squared plus 4y, and I'm going to leave a space, minus 16 equals 0. Okay, now remember when I do this, I want all the variables on one side, and I want all the positive numbers, or all the other numbers on the other. So x squared minus 8x, leave some space, plus y squared plus 4y, leave some space, equals 16. Okay, now, if I add a number here, I can do that as long as I add the same number here. Okay, and if I add a number here to the y's, I can do that as long as I add a number on the other side as well. Okay, so I'm going to complete the square both for my x's and for my y's. Okay, when I complete the square, I want 1/2 b, which here is -8, and I want that squared. Okay, so 1/2 times -8 is just -4 squared, which is 16. So I'm going to add a 16 here. If I add a 16 over here, I have to add a 16 over here as well. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing here. So 1/2 b, which is 4, squared. So 1/2 times 4 is just 2 squared, which is 4. So if I add a 4 here, I want to add a 4 over here. Okay, now what I have in parentheses is a perfect square. Okay, so this is just x minus 4 squared. And this is just y plus 2 squared equals 16 plus 16 is 32, 32 plus 4 is 36. Okay, so notice this is the standard equation of a circle. Okay, so I have my 4 and my 2 and my 36. So the center of my circle would be 4 and the -2. My radius would be the square root of 36, which is just 6. And guys, I didn't put a graph on here, but if you have the center and the radius, it should be pretty easy to graph. All right, now I want you to try to do example 4b on your own. Use this one here as a reference, kind of go back to it, and then we'll go over it. All right, so this is what you should have gotten here. Here's your standard equation right here, which makes the center be 4, -3, and the radius 4. So when you complete the square, you add 16 to the x, but also over here. You add 9 to the y, but also over here. And so you'd end up with the standard equation x minus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 16. And then from here, it's easy to graph.